Home base, it's all about the home. Home decor, interior and exterior design, choosing paint colors, picking out rugs, organizing closets, being productive in your home office, and so much more. Let's jump right into today's episode with Southern Inspirations partner, Shepherd Organizing Solutions. Hey there, everyone. Hey, Paige. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am pretty good. So welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tip Tuesday. I am Michelle Hill with Southern Inspirations, and joining me is Southern Inspirations partner, Paige Shepherd with Shepherd Organizing Solutions. And I'm excited about today's episode. And I've heard that there's a few folks out there that are excited about it as well.
Well, good. Yes, after we were promoting today's episode the last few days, I've gotten some comments and a few on the side text messages like, can you talk about how to help with this? Or we want that. We want the feedback.
Yes, we absolutely do. So as always, if you are watching, please comment and let us know. Good morning to Holly. She already commented. So any others watching, please do let us know that. As I have started doing, and I want to go ahead and pop up there now, Paige, I want to get your website going.
Okay.
Because as we are talking, I want folks to always be reminded that if they ever need just a little more assistance with organizing, and as in today's case, multitasking, you can certainly help with that. And you are available for virtual and in-person consultations. So wanted to go ahead and pop your shepherdorganizing.com website up there and get that going. And let's just dive into the subject of multitasking. Some think it's good, some think it's bad. So help us understand.
Okay, well, I agree with both of those statements.
Okay.
So I just want us to kind of consider, it's been a little bit of a buzz, I guess, in the last few years that multitasking is bad for you. It reduces your productivity. It doesn't help you manage your time well, those types of things. But I want us to consider today that not all multitasking is bad. You just have to know your strengths, know your circumstances, and make it work best for your situation. So I read an article recently. It's been a few months ago when I was preparing for a productivity session with a client. And I want to read a little bit from that article. It said, it's called Multitasking is Bad for Your Brain. So when I saw that, I was like, uh-oh. Okay, here's a line from the article. It says, researchers found that people who often multitask were worse at organizing their thoughts and filtering out irrelevant information compared to those who don't multitask. Overall, the study found that multitasking reduces efficiency and performance because the brain is only meant to focus on one thing at a time. And it goes on to say that productivity can be reduced by as much as 40% by the mental blocks created when people switch between tasks.
Wow, that's pretty significant.
It does seem significant. And again, I'm like, how do you measure what happens in my brain? But whatever. I'm sure there are tons of articles with different statistics. But my response to that is yes. If you're trying to do two huge time-consuming or brain-consuming tasks at once, it will cut down your efficiency and your productivity levels. We're not meant to be able to do two big things. Our attention can't be divided like that. So I do agree with the research that was in this specific article, but I think there are effective and simple ways to make multitasking work to our advantage. It really comes down to us putting in the necessary effort in both or all three or however many tasks you're doing at once to get them done efficiently. And when we do that, multitasking, I think the right way to do it is to kind of group some of your more mundane, simple, but necessary tasks together. And I think that's where we see the benefits of multitasking. So I feel like with some of my productivity clients, I kind of coined a catchphrase. I've said that productivity isn't measured by how much you get done in a day. It's measured by how you manage your time. So I might get 4 things done today. Well, 4 things done in 24 hours doesn't really seem like a good percentage of productivity. But those 4 things could have been huge. They could have involved a lot of time, a lot of mental power, a lot of emotion. You never know. Or there could have been other small things that took away my attention from my to-do list. So, Michelle, you might get 50 things done today, but there might all be 50 small things that have to be done, but it's just going to look different based on your circumstances, your personality, your attention span, all of that. So I think for me, what I have found for myself and with the clients I've helped is that the key to effective multitasking is to group things on your list that won't be compromised if they don't have your full attention. So I'll say that again. To group things on your list that won't be compromised if they don't have your full attention. And like I said, that looks different and for everyone. It depends a lot on everything else that's going on around you. It depends. Like you might work in a really busy office. You might work in an office where it's just you in your little cubicle. Or you might be a stay-at-home mom and you've got several kids vying at your attention. Or you could be like me. Chris and I don't have kids, but I have gone from working in a place where there was a lot of in and out of my office, and I was having to go from being social to working on something productive to serious conversations all the time. Where now I work by myself in my home office and I run a small business. And there's a lot that goes into that. All those little, Michelle,
Yeah.
all those little intricacies. You have admin stuff you have to do. You've got finance stuff. You got marketing. You actually have to do the job.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot that, depending on your circumstance, everything is pulling for your attention. So, like, for example, me multitasking looks completely different than my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law has 4 small boys. The oldest is in 1st grade, and the youngest is 1. So they're very close. But she's also a hairstylist. She's very involved in her church and her family and her community and the neighborhood. I think she might be Superwoman if we're just, but her multitasking looks completely different than mine. But just because she's got 4 small boys and my brother pulling at her when she's at home, it doesn't mean that she can't multitask. She can start a load of laundry, thaw meat for dinner, and read a book to one of the boys all at the same time. And none of those tasks compromises the other. It doesn't keep it from being done and done well. You don't have to sit around and do nothing while the meat is thawing. Okay, so I wanted to share this story. I have a very strong client confidentiality policy when it comes to productivity consulting and when it comes to organizing, because people are kind enough to let me into their messiness, whether it's a messy closet or your messy schedule. And it really takes a lot of vulnerability to let me in. And I recognize that. So I have a strong client confidentiality policy. That's why I don't tag people in any of my pictures. But I asked this particular client from a few months ago if I could share this, because it blew my mind that people's brains don't all work the same.
So I'm learning.
Yeah, so I asked her permission, without sharing her name, of course, if I could share this story. She doesn't have children, and she was really she gets kind of paralyzed when she looks at her to-do list, at the list of everything she had to get done in a day or a week or whatever. She's very busy in her job. She is, again, very active in lots of different areas in her life, but she just was really almost to the point of like anxiety, struggling with managing her time. So she had decided that the only way to do anything was successfully was just to do one thing at a time, to the point that she would start a load of laundry, and for the hour and a half it took for it to wash and dry, that's what she was doing. And I know
Wow.
it sounds mind-boggling, but when I
Wow.
did that, I thought, oh my goodness, like these tasks that we have to do, even the mundane things like laundry that seem to never end, it can really paralyze people. And I know that's a really extreme example, but in our conversations and in thinking through her days and her schedule and her time, we were able to just like release a heavy burden off of her shoulders. And I have goosebumps thinking about it because
Wow.
it really changed her life. It reduced so much stress and anxiety when she thought about how she could, instead of just being so paralyzed by the to-do list that she just did one thing at a time, she was able to group some similar things and she just felt refreshed. Anyway, she's living her best life right now. So
I like that.
yeah.
Wow, grouping things together. I don't guess I've ever thought about it quite like that. You know, when we had an episode a few weeks ago talking about write it down and time management and things like that, we talked about having like the major list, the one main list, and almost like a daily list or a sub list. And so now, me kind of connecting the dots of all of that, I have my own going forever list. Like as long as we're breathing, the list will always be there for all of us because there's always something to do. But Paige, if I look at that huge, 2 legal size, page size list, it can be overwhelming. So what are some of the ways when you talk about group, and I know what you're talking about generally speaking, but like what's something practical that is it highlighters where or do you just start your list all over and group things, like have a group list, or like what's the best way to try to group it together? And like when you glance at it daily, okay, I know that yellow is a higher priority than green, or I don't know. I need help with that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think it's just going to look different for what your task is. So, yes, prioritizing is important. I think it's really important to distinguish the things on your list. Hopefully, you've written it down, but it's important to distinguish the things on your list that are urgent and the things that are important because those are different. Like,
Right.
something that's urgent might not be as important to me as getting this other thing done. But if I have a deadline or someone else is counting on me, the urgent things need to be done first. So the task grouping, you can look at it from a few different aspects. You can group by priority. Like this is most important. I got to get this done first in the day, that type of thing. And it kind of, again, depends on what you're grouping, what your tasks are.
Yeah.
Or you can group by category. Like say you're at your office, like this hour and a half of the day is going to be for marketing. These 30 minutes are going to be for correspondence. I'm going to respond to emails and text messages and get caught up this day, like this at this time of the day. And, I structure my schedule out a lot. Some people might think it's over structured, but I have a super structured plan, but I'm also very flexible. Like if someone were to call me today and say, "Hey, can you go get coffee at 3?" Well, on my schedule today, I might have other things planned out that I was going to do at 3, but because I have been so diligent in getting other things done on time, I could say, "Sure, I'll rearrange things and go get coffee with you." So being structured doesn't mean that you can't be flexible. It's just
Right.
having more of a plan.
I like that.
So I think the task grouping, you can do a combo, or you can group by priority or group by category. And I think, I don't know, this is kind of a thought I'm still developing. So I'm a little nervous to say it live, but I've already started. So here we go. I think that the reason that jumping around from task to task slows down our productivity is because our brains have to shift gears in between each task. So if I just pick up this sticky note and it says, run to the post office, mail this for your husband, whatever, and then this sticky note says, make sure you create this graphic, or then over there on that list, I'm like, oh, I need to reply to the person who texted me yesterday. So if I'm just jumping from thing to thing, I have to allow time in between each one for my mind to shift. gears to think about it. But if I have grouped, I'm going to do all my errands at this chunk of the day. I'm going to do my correspondence at this time of the day. That doesn't mean that I don't ever answer an email or a text outside of that window, but it means I do the bulk of it then. So that I'm not interrupted in my correspondence time by another deadline for my budget or whatever. And you don't have to stop what you're doing in your emails and go back. Because when you do, then you are wasting time essentially thinking, okay, where did I leave off?
Yeah.
You have to think through everything else again. So really grouping like tasks and multitasking, they go hand in hand. And I think that effective multitasking happens when we do things that don't compromise our, the effect of things getting done well. If I was trying to do this Facebook Live right now and text other people and write a blog and do all those things at once,
that would not work.
I would be doing them all poorly.
Yeah, right.
I really think that there are a lot of people, and I know that sounded like a silly example, and especially with the laundry earlier, but there are more people who struggle with this than you think. And I hope that some of the things I've shared today and some of the things I write in my blog will be encouraging to listeners and readers. Just that it's okay. It's okay to, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you can't get things done, or the list or the ongoing stuff that's coming at you is paralyzing you, there is a way to get some relief from that. And it's going to look different for me than it does for Michelle, and it's going to look different for you too. So like Michelle said at the beginning, I do offer productivity consultations for individuals, for families, for businesses. If you need to improve your workflow, or just like the structure of how your business is set up, if you feel like maybe you're not making the most of your time there, or if it's on an individual, a family basis, you just feel like you don't have time for the things that you want to do. You want to have time to sit down as a family and play a board game, but there's no time. I can sit down with you and think through all the things that you have to get done and how to make better use of your time. So I think it's a big tip Tuesday.
Yes, it is. But I mean, everything you said makes so much sense. And I'm really going to kind of look at my list from that perspective of grouping. We've talked about this before. I have always been a list maker, very organized, to-do list every single day that's part of that bigger list. But I think stepping from that was also in a different environment, and you brought that up earlier. Your environment has changed as well. This is the very first time for me to be an entrepreneur. It is me in this office running the show, running my business, wearing all the different hats throughout the day for all the different facets of the business. And so there are new things that I'm now responsible for, as a small business owner, that I wasn't necessarily responsible for before. I was able and capable of functions, but now it becomes, prioritizing the days or the blocks of time where it's the financial part of my business. I have to enter the things in QuickBooks, and I have to do my banking, and I have to do all that, versus over here working on graphics, or having phone calls about the next nonprofit story. I can probably do a better job of grouping those things together rather than every day just coming in here. Really, Paige, of course, I'm not doing the finances every single day, but coming in here and every day doing all sorts of different tasks. Like they're all kind of lumped in together, and there are those that I probably need to set aside that really need more of my focused attention. And I say focused and not just attention.
Yeah,
that be compromised. There are some that also believe, Paige, speaking of emails, and I don't want us to carry on too long and but that believe that you only check, like there's certain times of the day when you check your email. I'm not there yet. Like mine, I check it, several times a day because I'm afraid I'll miss something. I'm afraid, what if I don't get right back to somebody? So again, you always say though, everybody's a little bit different and you have to kind of choose what works for you. So if my personality is one that I feel like, no, I've got to have my hands on email like all day long, that's fine, but there's something else that I can readjust probably to be more efficient on.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that people are like set in their ways. It has to be this way or it has to be this way or you're not productive or you're not effective, but that's not true. Like
No.
as offering productivity consultations, I feel like it's so important to get to know the person and like their strengths and their weaknesses and what does matter to them. And correspondence, being in touch with the people, you love people. And so that's why that's so important to you. And I think that we should like capitalize and celebrate those things and use them to make like yourself more productive. Use your strengths.
Yeah.
Recognize your weaknesses and try to improve them. But I have said it before and I say it every single time. One of these tips that I give is not going to apply to every single person. It's not realistic. And so part of the reason I love my job so much is because I get to figure out how to apply, like implement the basic tip in different situations. I love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on that person's style, their personality, like you said, their strengths, their weaknesses. I love that. Yay! I can still, check my email. But I just need to get a little bit better at doing some other things. So we'll work on that. All right, anything else before we wrap up today?
I don't have anything else.
All righty. Well, thank you again to everyone who is watching, whether you're watching now live or you are catching us on replay. We appreciate it so much. Thank you for your support of Southern Inspirations. And of course, your support of Tip Tuesday every single week. So continue to watch, tune in, share, do all those things as we grow. And two things that we always say in our broadcast is number one, if there's certain content that you want to see, a certain subject or topic that you would like Paige to cover, let us know, reach out to her or me, either one, so that we can talk about that topic that you're interested in. And number two, if you are a nonprofit leader or know a nonprofit leader who might want their short story shared, please let me know that as well, because I just enjoy it. That's my heart. That's why Southern Inspiration started, was to share those good nonprofit stories. So with that, we will call it a wrap for Tip Tuesday, and we'll see everyone right back here next week. Thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye, y'all.